Now hold on. Hold on a bloody minute!
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to go through a pretty popular series that recently finished. Everyone who's a Batman fan, to be honest with you, has been talking about it a lot. Now the Penguin to me has always been one of those villains where he's kinda in the shadows compared to other characters such as like Bane or the Joker. So having him get his own show was an interesting choice for sure. But when I was watching through it, I just loved it the whole way through. Without further ado, let's get into it. So when I was watching this, I noticed that even though it's set in the first Batman movie's universe, it really doesn't feel like a superhero show like at all. To be honest with you, they barely even mention Batman in here, which is kind of surprising. But you do get a little bit of fan service later on, but I'll get to that later. What I also really liked about it was how the story beats in this show, they're a lot different than what I thought they were going to be. So like, for example, when I thought that a certain thing was going to happen at a certain part of the story, it just like it changes your expectations in a way, which I thought was kind of cool because it made it a bit unpredictable compared to like other shows that I've watched. As far as actors go, Colin Farrell as a Penguin, he needs an Oscar after this. I'll be honest with you, because that performance of him, that at least put him at the level of like Heath Ledger, at least in that kind of ballpark. Because I've never seen another villain's performance like that good. Other than that, my favorites were defo Sophia, and who else? I really liked Victor as well, and Oz's mom. I think they were all sick characters. Because it wasn't just the Penguin who had a good performance; it was all of them too. And I did like what I saw of like Salvatore Maroni, and like I said, Vic himself, he was one of the best parts of the show. So yeah. Now here's a bit of a spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't watched it yet. But when I remember seeing the behind the scenes videos of this, and even Colin Farrell himself, he said that by the end of the 8th episode, you wouldn't really like the Penguin like at all. Now that I've watched it through, I hate the geezer, man. Like especially what he did to Vic. He didn't deserve that like at all, and it just goes to show that this is basically just kind of like a middle finger to any type of media that treats anti-heroes like Venom, what they did with like Morbius or something like that, blah blah blah. So yeah, I kind of like that it was unpredictable in that sense as well. And to be honest with you, some of the stuff that he does in this show is messed up. Like when he burns alive the rest of the Maroni family, that that felt like really bad, and I don't know why. It kind of makes you think, why did you even root for him? So, you know what I mean? It kind of walks a fine line between you rooting for him and then him doing something really bad. And then obviously episode 7. By the time I was done with that episode, I did not like think of him as a good guy like at all, because of what he did to his brothers. Like the fact that he had literally zero remorse in his face after he did that, definitely not a good thing. So even though the one thing that I really did like was his connection to his mom, but even then, by the 8th episode, like I said, that all is just thrown in the garbage because of how he treats his mom after she basically becomes a vegetable at the end. And it just goes to show you how much of a villain he is. And obviously the stuff he did to Vic as well. Like, he needs justice after that, so. But I think the final part of the 8th episode I really liked because, for one, it does what a show does when it's connected to movies. Kind of like how the MCU should be doing it, but whatever. It kind of leads into Batman Part 2, which I really personally liked how they shared a little bit of the bat signal showing up at the end. It just goes to show you that geezer, he better sleep with his eyes open, because Batman's gonna beat the crap out of him. And I hope that's the case, you know. So, yeah. So I've talked about how this show is perfect in my eyes, but if I was looking at it objectively, there are couple of problems with it. I wouldn't say a few, but like a couple of problems with it. For example, right, the character of like Dr. Julian Rush, I never really liked him. I just thought he was just kind of a simp for Sophia. He didn't really add much to the plot. So there was that. And what I also didn't like was the way Salvatore Moroni died. He was kind of led up to be this big, powerful figure, like a pretty big villain in the show. Then when he's beating the shit out of Oz, he randomly just gets a heart attack and dies. And don't get me wrong, the Penguin has like a bit, Oz kind of has like a monologue about it, but I think it was just the writers trying to think of some way to make it so that it wasn't like a complete like flop in the story. But I don't know, I think they were trying to salvage it, but even then I just thought that it wasn't a good way to kill him off like that would. The last thing I would say is that I personally, this is a bit of a nitpick, but I personally wasn't really a fan of the name Oswald Cobb, as opposed to like Oswald Cobblepot, like how he's known in like the comics and other Batman media. I just think that, like, I get it, it's a realistic interpretation of Batman, and that's what the whole thing has been about in the movie and this show, but I feel like they're just trying to compromise on certain things, but it was just a nitpick. I never personally minded that much, so yeah, those were the cons that I think that this show had. So overall, if I had to give my thoughts on this show, if anyone who's interested in Batman or comics or anything like that, watch this show. Like, you will be impressed by how good this show is, and it's surprising considering like how the MCU is with their shows. This is like every level above that in every way. And even then, if you take it out of like what it's related to, so like Batman and DC, you'll love this as like a mafia crime show, kind of that thing. Like if you watch The Godfather, you'll love this as well. It just goes to show you how good of a show this is, even on its own 2 feet. So overall, like, the MCU needs to take notes on this, because like I said, it is better than any MCU show I've ever seen in like every way. Like, it stuck the landing as well, which is something that a lot of MCU shows don't really seem to do. So there was that, and overall it just kind of made me think of the Penguin as more of a threat, and I guess that's what they came to accomplish anyways, because the Penguin, like I said before, he's not really seen as that big of a threat compared to people like Bane or Joker, and this just kind of raised him up a level in my eyes. So that's why I appreciate it for in general. But either way, thank you for watching through my video. Please like and subscribe if you're interested in more content, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.